Greetings. Welcome to Limitless Alchemy 808. I'm Patient. I'm just doing a midweek reflection here and kind of tying some things in together for the collective that have culminated at this now. And today is June 25th. I was at the office earlier, and in design we use what's called a Wacom tablet with a Wacom pen because it's just easier for sketching and things like that. And I was mousing over the desktop. I have two monitors, and was going from one monitor to the next, and for whatever reason Microsoft decided to pop up this notification that today is Global Beatles Day. I was not aware of this, and please comment down below your favorite Beatle and your favorite Beatles song, because you know they were such a prolific band. I mean, got so many great hits and art from them, and you know, everyone's like, well, do you like John or do you like Paul? And I'm just like, how about George? He's my favorite Beatle. Ringo's also pretty cool, you know. I tend to be chill with drummers, not Lars Ulrich, but from Metallica. But drummers are generally pretty chill people. No bias here, but just in my experience. And my favorite song is Strawberry Fields Forever. When I would listen to that song before coming into consciousness, it's just very ethereal and sort of it's like being in a comforting fog. I'm not sure if that comes across, but then listening to it again, it's really an activator song. There's a lot of breadcrumbs in there that, you know, it's because they had come to their awarenesses, their consciousnesses. But I'm not going to get too much into that today, because I had mentioned in my previous video that, well, previous before this one, scratch that, the one before the previous. So I had mentioned that I really admire birds and bats, you know, animals with flight, and crows are, well, crows, ravens, corvids, they've always been in my field. As a child, I've read all of Edgar Allan Poe's works, starting with The Raven, and I even have a stuffed raven that I purchased from a friend, which has a little felt Edgar Allan Poe The Raven book attached to its wing, and that has inspired me to create a reading channel where I promote literacy to children and adults, you know, anybody who wants to expand their vocabularies, wants to expand their understanding of literacy, their reading comprehension. That channel is very beneficial. So I've yet to post a video, but as soon as I do, I will share it in the community posts and link it in future videos. But so when I was in high school, my cousin and I would go driving everywhere. He's 3 years older than I am. And we would go to Melrose, we would go to Santa Monica, Soweto, we would go to Hollywood, and just drive all over Los Angeles. It's a lot of the reason why I love LA so much, because I have so many happy imprints from that place, regardless of what people perceive about LA. I'm with Randy Newman. I love LA. But when we would go, at certain times around the same area, different times, like spaced out, I would see murders of crows. And whenever we drive by, I would caw, just a greeting. And they would just look at me. We're driving away. So, but I had an experience recently with crows that it was just, it was so endearing that they remembered me. So when Alpha had gone in, he'd gone in, a second time. So he had his amputation. Then months later, he had to go in to remove infection from the amputation site. And I think, was it the day? No, one of the first days that I went to go visit him, he was at UCLA Santa Monica, and I had parked in like a neighboring area to with the no permit or whatever, no parking meter, because I knew I was going to be there all day. I didn't want to have to worry about moving my car. So I had parked in this neighborhood, and I saw some crows across the street, and I happened to have a bag of roasted unsalted peanuts. They love those, and they love oranges. But I'd seen the crows across the street, and I was like, okay, I've got some peanuts. Let me put a little pile here and see if they take them. And crows are very well known to be extremely apprehensive of humans. They're very distrustful of humans because they've experienced so much negativity, or just they've experienced with humans that they don't want to be, like, they don't trust humans right off the bat. You must earn their trust. So I was like, I'll just put the peanuts here. They're probably not going to take them. They don't know me, so I'm just going to leave them. So I put a small handful on the corner, and then I went to the opposite corner diagonally and stood there watching. And one female, she flew down, and she didn't take a peanut. She kind of looked at him, and then she's like, nah, and then she left. And then a male crow came, and he took a peanut. I was like, oh, cool, okay, yay, like, awesome. And then because there's been other instances where I've encountered crows all around my area, and I will say hi to them and they'll fly away, or I'll try to leave peanuts for them and they'll take off. Maybe they'll take them later, I don't know, I don't stick around to look. But after the male crow took the one peanut, then the other crows started going after the peanuts, and I was like, oh, awesome. So I started walking to the hospital, and I was about a block away from Wilshire, and I hear the crows clamoring. They're like cawing and cawing all around from like a block away from where I was. They were just cawing and clamoring, and I was like, well, I said to myself, not even yelling or anything, just to myself said, if you want more, you know where to find me. So I made it down to Wilshire, and I'm walking towards the hospital, and as soon as I come up to the church that's right there over by the Target, they all mobbed the church, and they were flying from the church to the other side of the street where I was, but they were about like 12, 15 feet away, and they were calling at me, and they were like, where's the food? Give us the peanuts. I was like, okay. So I went to a non-functional driveway and put the rest of the peanuts that I had. It was a good pile of peanuts, and I put them there, and I was like, okay guys, like, have at it. And so I was just standing there. I didn't film it. I think my phone was dying, but I didn't film it because I was just so amazed and honored that these crows trusted me enough to take food from me. And they were just dive bombing, each taking a peanut, flying off, and the rest that had no peanuts were still cawing, and I was like, oh, I'm out. So I went to the hospital, and then I thought about it. I was like, those are the crows that I used to see. I mean, they're descendants of the crows that I used to see when I would come here with my cousin, because they all talk to each other. They all communicate with each other about humans. So I was just like, wow, okay. And something within me was like, you're gonna see them again towards the end of your life. It is my preferred reality to live to 144 years. Why not? The fountain of youth exists within me now, right now. And I'm of the mind where I don't really want to leave too much behind. That is why I don't want to opt for a grave or anything, but I'm rethinking that. I had mentioned in a previous video that I found out about mushroom-based caskets, and as the casket breaks down, it breaks down the corpse within. I believe, was it months or a year? Definitely extremely shorter than traditional burials. So I was like, okay, that's another option, but it'd be cool to just leave bones. So I'm like, you know, I want to give of myself to these crows at the end of my life. I'm totally fine with, you know, once I leave the shell, it doesn't matter what happens to it, really. I mean, it's just a shell, it's just a meat sack. So I am like, okay, when I'm towards the end of my life, these crows will show up, and they're gonna hang out until I transition, and they will take care of my body for me. I don't know how my family's gonna feel about that, but you know, time will tell, whatever. But yeah, it was just a really nice experience. And then I had a not so nice experience. Was it February or January? It was earlier this year. I was still living in my apartment, and I had dropped my sons off at their schools and was heading to the office. And there's a house that is pretty well known in West Covina by the locals, because the man that lived there, he had all these funny signs about how he has a shotgun and a shovel, and to keep out and keep away, and you're being filmed and everything on his property. And I was stopped at the light, and I saw this hawk fly right in front of my car. I was like, oh cool, a hawk. But then it wasn't so cool because he was swooping in to snatch up a female crow that was trying to hide from him. She was like in this little divot of the yard of that house that is kind of like a separator dirt from the planter to the lawn, and she was trying to hide down there, but he must have seen her and he snatched her up. And I did not know that hawks eat crows until that time. I was just as devastated as she was. She was in his talons and she was just like in shock as he flew off with her. And I was like, oh, damn it. Okay, well, it is what it is. There's not much I can do about that. And then after I moved, I think it was in March. No, it was in April, actually, towards the end of April. I was driving on the freeway where I was going to Altos or somewhere, but I was driving on the freeway. Was I in LA? Possibly. Anyways, I'm driving, and out of the corner of my eye, I see these two birds, and one is attacking the other. And I look, and it's a male crow attacking a male hawk, and he's just going at him. He's just bam, bam, just all over the hawk. He would not leave the hawk alone. And the hawk was not fighting back. The hawk was trying to get away. I was like, oh, I've never seen that before either. Okay, so I kind of just brushed it off. I mean, I thought it was cool, and I was like, oh, he's getting revenge for the female crow. But probably, who knows? I mean, couldn't be the same birds, but in any case, then recently, actually today, I again saw a male crow attacking a male hawk. He was mobbing the hawk. And usually when crows do that, it's the whole murder that is driving the hawk away from the nest, driving the hawk away from the young. But it was just one male crow that again was kicking the shit out of this hawk. And I was like, okay, so I was able to film it because I was on the walk with my coworker, and I'll include it at the end here. And then as we're going, I see a female crow flying that way. So I was like, oh, cool. So they're taking care of business. But it's just, since I started reading tarot, the first deck that called out to me, I mean, this deck chose me when I went to ipso facto in Fullerton. And this deck has done so much, has really done so much for transmuting a lot of the aspects and parts of myself that I felt to be bad, that I felt to be lacking about myself, that I felt to be evil. And knowing that there is no such thing as good and evil, now the deck, it brings a lot of comfort because of the shadows and the darkness of it. And I use this deck to assist others with their transmutations. So I will start posting more readings with the deck. I do really love that deck, and just working with crystals as well. If you want to work with crystals, then you should. They're not new age at all. In fact, crystals are ancient. Crystals are from the earth. Crystals connect you to this density. So whoever says they're new age, they're misinformed. But I had bought this jasper plate when in Pomona, and when I would go to this one lady's house, and I just picked it up because it was $1. Really. And then one day I looked at it because the way I had placed it in my home, and I was like, oh, it's a crow. This is a crow here. And then another one that I had purchased from her in obsidian, it was super cheap. I had, just picked it out. I was like, oh, it's a nice chunk of obsidian. Like, it's super cool. And then one day I saw it from a different angle, and I was like, again, it's a crow. So, I mean, and at the day job, at the office, I have found these 3 feathers. They've come to me on my walks. Also got this super cute pyrite crow from, gosh, I can't remember her name, but I'll post her IG handle in the comment, pinned comment, because she does have a lot of beautiful crystals, and I'm not really on IG anymore, so I'll have to message her and get her number, because I would love to get some more crystals from her. But that was just something that I've been guided to share with everyone, because I know that crows are a huge aspect for this collective. They're harbingers of change. They're so intelligent. They're one of the few creatures, aside from humans, that use tools to get what they want. They know how to figure things out. They know how to talk. They know how to, even if it's just mimicry, that's fine. I'm a mimic. I find myself mimicking others all the time, and I've been working to not do that, because I know that for some folks they can take it a certain way. So and I have a self-concept, I have a sense of self, but just I find myself in situations where I'm mirroring that person, and I don't want them to feel a type of way. But another thing was that yesterday on the way to the office, I actually drove through a mini cyclone, and that's the second time I've been in a cyclone. The first time I mentioned in a previous video, but it was when I was with my former husband, and our son was about maybe 2 years old, and we had had a tornado warning in Southern California, and I was at working at this fashion company, and when I got back home, I took out the trash, and once I threw the trash away, I turned and I saw a mini cyclone just heading right for me, and it just passed right through me. So I was like, okay. Then yesterday when it happened again, I was like, oh cool, like, thank you, universe. It's just so much chaos and change, and cycles are breaking and new cycles are creating for all of us, especially this collective, because there's been so much transformation, there's been so much growth, there's been so much releasing of old programming. And again, this is a channel of divine reflection, and I have my Calendly in the description box, a link in the description box. So if you feel guided to book a session, please know that it is all your design and all your alignment, and all I'm there to do is to facilitate what you want the most for yourself. So I look forward to working with you, and I'll meet you soon. But those were just some really cool, oh, and then the clouds today. I made a community post about this just amazing cloud formation that was in the sky right before I saw the crow and the hawk. And the sun was shining in like the uppermost part of the cloud formation, and it looked as though it was like a staircase, like a really fluffy, loosely defined staircase. And I was like, and then I also saw a golden jumping spider this morning. I took down my hummingbird feeder to refill it. I make the nectar for the hummingbirds, and they're always fighting, and when it's out, they love to tell me when it's out. They love to tell me when to refill their feeder. I can hear them all the time. And I took it down, and I was gonna go inside, and I saw this little movement, and I looked down, and I was like, oh, hi. And it's just this tiny little golden jumping spider. I've not seen a golden jumping spider before. A lot of the ones I encounter is they're more like brown or black. They're kind of just, they're still pretty nonetheless. When I moved in, there was one that was hanging out, and I called him Spot. And I've seen him twice, but I haven't seen him since then. So who knows? But I just love spiders, and for their protection and their web of support. And I had posted a short about that, so I will also link that. Just a little interaction with the cutie, and he did a little jump towards the end. It's so adorable. But yeah, I definitely look forward to having a few of my own jumping spiders. I asked my sons if I could have 50, and they said that was too many. So I was like, okay, fine. But maybe like 5 or so. So, because they are territorial and they are cannibalistic. So I wouldn't want to have my spiders eating each other, but eventually, right? Start with one, okay? And then you just grow from there. But I know that you've been experiencing a lot of these transformations and changes and upgrades because of all the downloads that you have allowed yourself to receive. And there's so much up ahead for all of us. Literally everything we touch is gold, because we are gold. And something, I wouldn't call them a friend. They're more like an acquaintance, because they're a younger person. And I met them, they're the son of someone else that I'm not associated with. But we had gone to the fair last year, and on the way home, this kid had told me that they hope to grow up and be like me, that I'm absolute gold. And I was like, that's one of the sweetest things anyone could ever say. And I thanked him, and I was just like, wow, it's really nice. Kind of like a sort of child-parent sort of thing, and I'm just like, okay, neat. but that is what I am, just a mirror of you. So anything that I embody, you also embody. And a lot of times my higher self is coming through, speaking on this. And I thank my higher self for being present with us all. Our higher self being present with us all in all moments. That we are integrated with our higher selves, because this is ancestor timeline. This is integrating with the void. And it's just so exciting. Really, it's super exciting, and I look forward to hearing from all of you. Stay soft, stay sweet, and stay pure. I'll see you in the next one. Love yourself. The hawk. That's the second time I've seen a crow mobbing a hawk.